What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Monday edition of Morning Cuppa Hockey presented by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Hope everybody had an incredible weekend. We have a lot to get into this morning. We do have our first installment of our new Cuppa College segment, which will be towards the end of the show. We'll have Tate Pecknold, the head coach of the Quinnipiac Bobcats men's ice hockey team, joining us as the first ever Cuppa College guest. We have James Van Riemsdyk joining us off the hop, Colby. So do you want to just get right into Reamer, or you want to say anything to our listener?
Let's get right into it, because I'll tell you this. Usually when we're starting the show, I'm pretty much just starting my coffee. But this morning has been a very, very early morning at the Cohen household, and I'm just about done my coffee this morning. So I'm buzzing. I'm ready to go. So let's get Reamer in here right away. And I'll say this to the chat. We do have a couple of things we want to talk to him about, but we also want you guys to ask some questions today. So, we'll probably pick 2 or 3 questions from the chat for him if we see some good ones. So we'll leave that up to you guys to decide if you can pull off some good questions.
All right, so before we bring on Reamer, just want to give a quick word from our sponsor, Parasso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care. Made in Italy since 1948, Parasso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at Parasso-USA.com with our promo code Hockey15, in all caps, Hockey15. So let's bring on James Van Riemsdyk. Always good to see you. I like that lid too. That's a nice little team issue, or no?
Yeah, we got this from a local brand here, just a nice little hoodie and hat, so I figured I'd rock it. It's a pretty good, kind of like a vintagey sort of 90s sort of thing, so pretty sick.
Is that pretty cool that you get to be there for this centennial season where they are doing the throwback uniforms and kind of going back to the to their roots of such a storied franchise? By the way, not something I thought we were going to talk about this morning, but Jonny went there, so I figured I got to have a follow-up, right?
Yeah, you know what? Whether I wanted to hear it or not, growing up, my dad just always reminded us of the history of the game and the prestige of certain things within the game. So I definitely have an appreciation for that. And this is kind of oddly enough my third centennial season, because I was with in Toronto for the 100th season, Boston, and
No way.
here. So yeah, these are definitely cool. You get to see a lot of all the legends usually come back around, and there's just so much to go through over the course of these kind of like storied original 6 franchises. So it's definitely something I look forward to and have an appreciation to. And again, I definitely owe a lot of that to my dad for kind of instilling that in us as we're growing up.
That is sick that you were there for all 3. But to kind of rewind things, Reamer, I want to ask just about, obviously the weekend, things could have been really ugly for the Red Wings, right? Like you guys lose to Buffalo, then you drop an ugly one to the Islanders, and then all of a sudden you find yourselves down 4-0 to St. Louis, but find the way to come back and get a huge win at home. And I'm curious, just in that game, like things could have easily, fumbled and been like, oh boy, here we go again, on the bench. But what part of that game, or, what was said that clicked, that turned things around for you guys to come out and come back from down 4? Because that's a wild comeback at home.
Yeah, you know what? I think it says a lot about a team that in that scenario where you don't quit and you just keep playing. I think, again, there's always games throughout the course of the season where maybe you don't play your best, and some of those bad bounces, they end up in your net, or maybe you're just flat, and it gets to that sort of scenario. And I think, again, just showing that you have that, especially early in the year, showing that you have that kind of in your bag a little bit to just keep playing. I think it kind of instills a little bit more of that belief, so that when there are kind of situations throughout the year where we get in behind the 8 ball a little bit, we know that we can't rely on that, obviously, but we know we have that in us. So I think that was huge. And again, I just think again we didn't mail it in. We just kept playing, and yeah, it obviously I think is a great win for us, but definitely not a recipe we want to rely on too often.
Yeah, and look, I know that your team is definitely given us things to talk about this year, but one of the reasons when you and I were talking in the off season that I thought having you be a regular guest is because I do think there's a number of other topics around hockey that you're obviously pretty well versed in, and one thing that I don't think is getting enough attention right now, that I maybe for good reason and maybe not, is the lingering effect of the Olympics coming up and what type of pressure that puts on a player. And you've gone through it. You played in the 2014 Olympics in Sochi. I know you had I think you had 7 points in 6 games in that tournament. So obviously, personally, a pretty good run for you. But I look around the league and I look at Tage Thompson. I look at Cole Caulfield. Maybe even Matthew Nyes is a guy who maybe isn't playing at the top of his game like you'd like to see him. And I'm wondering if you could maybe go back a decade here and think about how you felt knowing that you weren't just playing for your team every night. You're actually being scouted by the U.S. Olympic general manager and scouting staff. And like, is that a lot of added pressure for these guys, Reamer, that are not Austin Matthews and Tkachuk and the guys that are, McAvoy, that are just already on the team no matter what?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's one of those things. It depends on how you want to try to view it, but you gotta, again, hold yourself to that higher standard, especially if you're maybe one of the bubble guys. But yeah, I definitely think you're going to see that. That's certainly on the back of guys' minds. I mean, obviously, that's a team that everyone wants to be on, representing their respective country. And just the prestige and the privilege and honor of that is something that you'll always kind of look back on fondly, and something that no one can take away from you. So obviously there's a lot into that, and yeah, I think that's definitely something that that guys are definitely managing throughout the year here, especially as it gets closer and closer. So
do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know when they're in the building? Like, does somebody let you know, hey, Billy Guerin's coming tonight, or Chris Kelleher's coming tonight, or is that, a little bit of a reach? Like, I'm just curious what the level of, I guess, like, awareness that these guys have to who's there watching every night. Not that it really matters because the video now is so good and they all have access to these video databases, but maybe it was different in 14, maybe not.
Yeah, you know what? I think I can't specifically remember knowing beforehand, but I know it was a cool story last year for Werenski, where they had the brass for the Four Nations team in town, and some of the guys were out for dinner after the game, and he ran into them, and that's how we found out he made the team, which was pretty cool. But yeah, obviously. Yeah, I can't remember anything specifically though about knowing. I mean, obviously that's going to happen and they're going to be there to watch it play, but I don't remember anything specifically about knowing going into games that this was going to be the game that they're going to be at. It was more a surprise after the fact, I guess.
Yeah, I Colby, if I may, I want to jump in here and ask a long-winded question. So, Reamer, I kind of apologize in advance for this one taking a second or two. But, a guy who's already becoming a story, one of your teammates. And I want to not only just make this about Emmitt Finnie, but I also just want to ask you about what you've seen as far as, quote-unquote, developing young talent goes in the NHL. Because I think, it's become a big conversation amongst fans about which organizations are good at developing, which organizations are bad at developing young guys. But at what point does the player kind of have to take hold of their own development? Because you look at Emmitt Finnie on paper, right? He's a 4th-round pick in the WHL. He's a 7th-round pick in the NHL in 2023, but, tears it up in the WHL last year. He's the captain of the Kamloops Blazers, and shout out to one of our colleagues, Colton Davies, who focuses very closely on that team. But, this is a kid who's ecstatic to be in the NHL, and sometimes that comes with a lot of pressure, and some players crumble, some players thrive, but when it comes to developing and what you've seen out of Emmitt Finnie, I'm just curious where you told that line of it's on the organization, but it's also on the player to perform.
Yeah, you know what? I think you said it. I remember kind of when my generation of coming in, there was way less maybe things at your disposal as far as maybe skills coaches, power skating, things like that. But now it seems like a lot of the organizations are really kind of buying into having just different resources for guys to really take advantage of. But I think at the end of the day, like you said, it is on the player to really use whatever's at your disposal, pick the brains of some of the older guys, see what's maybe worked for them, and just be a sponge to kind of, again, do whatever it takes to get yourself here and to stay here. So that was kind of my mindset coming in, but certainly it seems like, again, nowadays that there's just a ton of resources for guys to take advantage of 12 months of the year. And yeah, as far as Finns goes, like it's like you said, super impressive just to see. I mean, especially in this day and age where it's hard to fall through the cracks now. I feel like everyone's got so much exposure from such a younger age. So to be a 7th-round pick and to come in as well as he has in your rookie year, first year pro, guns a-blazing like he has, like it's super, super impressive. And he's a really impressive guy, and you could tell just he's got a good head on his shoulders of how he approaches the game and approaches his craft. And I know, again, just hearing about him from the guys who have known him for a little bit the last couple of years here, just kind of the different feedback he's taken to implement in his game to really help him have a chance to have a great career and make the NHL. I think he's put a lot of work in the last couple of years to come from that 7th-round pick to be a guy who's come in and played unbelievable, played on our top line, played all situations for us. So you got to tip your cap to him.
Has he been a sponge with you guys, though? Guys like you and Kaner and I mean, even Larkin's now been around for, it seems like ever. I know he's not like an older guy yet, I guess, but he's definitely been around, it feels like. Has he been picking your brain on things?
Yeah, a little bit. I sit a few seats down from him in the locker room, so we'll chat about some things sometimes. And we're actually at the card table together now there, so that'll be probably over the course of the year where I'll get to learn some stuff from him as well too. So yeah, that's the fun part, I think, too. Again, with all the younger guys, like obviously they can learn from some of the older veteran players, but I think again a key part too that sometimes gets overlooked is just seeing the different way that some of the younger guys maybe approach the game, or the different kind of tools they have in their bag, or the different things that they do. So I think there's always kind of that two-way street of learning from each other.
Has there been a guy on this team, Reamer, since you brought this up, like no one knows more about stick lies and you know, different ways you can do your skates, and like you have studied these things like no one else, the recovery and the different types of saunas and treatments and healing. Is there a guy on this Detroit Red Wings team that has maybe tipped you off on a few new things where you've sort of opened your eyes and been like, maybe that's one I got to add to my bag? Anything you're willing to share at least?
You know what? That's a good question. I think just overall with the organization, Mike Bauer is the kind of performance director here, and he's someone who's just very well respected within like the industry, and just the things that he has available to us recovery wise, and just the science that goes into some of it is pretty impressive. So that's probably been the most in-depth of all the teams I've played for, just some of the stuff that they have accessible to us with different cryo chambers and cold tubs, sauna, these different sort of like recovery boots sort of things, all these different sorts of things. And he's someone who's super into it. I actually got a chance to talk with him for the first time the other day, and he's a super passionate guy and really into it, and always looking into sort of different things to just help the guys out because he just loves it so much. So that's something that's been pretty cool. You can kind of see that here already, where that bleeds into everything else, just how into it he is.
Is there like a new appreciation too, Reamer, for when you see a young guy like who's just stepping in and then all of a sudden things click for them? Like, you know, maybe you see them struggling at the start and, you know, kind of getting down on themselves. I mean, it's only human nature, right? When you're not as confident to beat yourself up a bit, but then all of a sudden as things progress, it starts to click. Like that's got to be a cool thing for, you know, an older player to watch happen. Like if you see a guy who has the tools and you know he has the ability to do it, but maybe it's just not clicking, and then all of a sudden it does. I'm curious if there's one guy that maybe sticks out in your mind who you watch that process happen with.
Yeah, you know, that's a good question. I think obviously here, I haven't been here long enough to have a full-blown maybe appreciation for some of that yet. But certainly, again, the guys who love the game and the guys who kind of are willing to put the work in, like you're always rooting for guys like that. I mean, again, just going back to even last year in Columbus, a couple guys, I mean, like guys that just love hockey or sponges, guys like Fantilli, Cole Sillinger, Kent Johnson, Jay Christensen. You're always rooting for guys like that have that kind of drive and that love of the game and are willing to do what it takes to just maximize their potential as a player. So those are guys that definitely come into mind last year in Columbus.
This is a question that's coming in from our chat, and I think it's an interesting one. Obviously, Johnny's a huge Rangers fan, and I know you grew up with proximity to the Rangers, Reims, where you grew up. And the question from Nicole was: Is there a different energy or mentality you feel when a team has when they're coming in to play at MSG? Like, I think what she's suggesting is maybe the Rangers are getting everybody's best effort when they come into MSG because of all the magic in that building. And I'm just curious, like, is there any truth to that? Or again, if I know correctly, you kind of grew up a Rangers fan, didn't you? Like, that was your team as a kid, right?
Yeah, no, definitely for me, just individually, like I mean, the built like that. I played my first game of travel hockey there, like in a game before a Rangers exhibition game. So I every chance it has that special aura and just buzz and feel to it. So I definitely love it, and I think that's probably a lot of guys' favorite building to play in. Just the stage that you're on. It's New York. Just the build. It's got just a different electricity in there from the fans. So yeah, that's probably one that guys are. If you pulled the whole league, I would say the majority of the guys would say that's like got a top spot for them to come play. But,
I kind of remember in
like
24/7. Yeah, I remember in 24/7. I feel like your family was asked about it or something. Didn't you have like a shootout against the Rangers in 24/7? And like I think you were featured in it. Maybe I feel like that was like a memory for me as a kid.
No, that was because we played them in the obviously that outdoor game there, and
Mhm.
obviously grew up going to games there, taking the train into Penn Station, and some very fond childhood memories of doing that with my parents and brothers. So it's still a place that it just gives you those butterflies every time.
Yeah,
I didn't mean
well,
to cut you off there, by the way. Sorry for that. I got one more though, Colby, before I let him
yeah, go
go.
ahead, Johnny. Yeah, go ahead.
This is just like pretty much a basic fan asking a player a question. But you guys are going on a 5-game road trip starting tomorrow. What do you pack for a 5-game road trip?
Well, I get chirped for that my suitcase is pretty much the same size for 1 game or 5 games. I got the deadline bag with me, as Joffrey Lupul. He dubbed it for himself the one year because he going into the deadline, everyone's like looking at this bag he's bringing. It looked like he was going to Europe just with how much stuff he brings. It's a deadline bag, boys. Yeah, that's a good question. Now it's like usually if it's a shorter trip, I'll usually bring just one suit and then a couple different shirts for the suit. But so this isn't 5 games now, so I got 3 suits in there. A couple of my recovery things, this little red light mat that I use. Trying to think what else.
Are you doing
that's
suits
probably
straight
the
up?
main
Are
thing.
you not doing like any like unique outfit kind of things? Or are you just doing straight suits?
I have all these suits from all over the years, and it's how many more times I'm going to get to wear them. So I'm still pretty much doing suits. I think most of the guys on our team are doing that too. So we haven't really leaned into um, the drip that some guys are. But who knows? Maybe at one point we will, but not yet.
I like the look of the guys that are going with the suit and they're just going with like a Henley under, because it still has like a very professional look to it. And you're not lying, man. Guys love getting those custom suits. Like, you spent a lot of money on that over the years. You gotta
Yeah.
get some wear out of those things, right? And
Oh
especially
yeah,
you
yeah.
got some beautiful looking suits.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I've got a lot in the repertoire, a lot of suits back there. So yeah, definitely gotta continue to rock those while I can rock them as much as I can now.
Well, I know we have BVR listening today, so I don't know if you want to give him a little bit of love on your way out the door. That's Brendan Van Riemsdyk, the
Yeah,
youngest of the Van Riemsdyk brothers, but he's
yeah.
here listening.
I gotta get the status check in on his team, the Red Bank Generals, see how they're doing. I haven't checked in with him in a week or so. So hopefully they're off to a good start still to their season. So we'll see. I'll have to get that update from him today.
Silence is never good from a coach. That probably means he's not thrilled with the
Yeah.
result if we haven't heard anything from him. But look, I know you got to get to practice, and you've got a busy week ahead. Good checking in with you, and we'll continue to monitor the whole Olympic situation, because, like I said, I really do think, obviously, for me, I can only really kind of go back to the World Junior years of knowing that they were in the stands watching us for those teams. It was a little different for you. You were a guy who was making those teams no matter what, because you were better than everybody at our age group. And so, but I do think that pressure is a real thing. And I think some guys handle it different than others. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out with some of these guys that, people were questioning why they weren't on the Four Nations team and they didn't win. And so now they're looking for Billy Guerin to make some sort of changes, right? So I think that's a fascinating situation, and we'll probably keep asking you about it throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right,
thanks,
man.
Ringer. We appreciate your time this morning.
All righty.
Good luck on the road trip.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome stuff, Colby from James Van Riemsdyk. And before we get into the next topic of conversation on today's show, I do want to give a quick word from our sponsor, Bauer. So this segment is a presentation of Bauer and the Bauer Pulse, the first Bauer stick to feature their latest kick point innovation, powered by 2 distinct energy zones in the shaft. This stick is designed to adapt to your game with loadability and precision of a mid kick and the explosive, unexpected release of a low kick. So you can catch goaltenders by surprise with a quick shot they'll never see coming, or make dynamic plays in the zone that will have defenders scrambling. Combine all that with the new Praise Grip ink on the shaft, and Pulse will stay in your hands. You put the game in your hands. Exclusive to Bauer Hockey, the Pulse contains ultra lightweight and rigid boron fiber material, which creates a high strength to weight ratio and optimizes energy storage and increases reactivity. Featured on 40 flex sticks and above. The Bauer Pulse launches October 17th, or has launched October 17th, excuse me. For more information, check out Bauer.com. So with that, let's go into some topics around the NHL, Colby, before we bring on Tate Pecknold, the head coach of Quinnipiac. I think we should start with the Utah Mammoth. 7 straight wins during the 7-game win streak, Colby. Nick Schmaltz on fire with 7 goals, 7 assists for 14 points. Clayton Keller, 4 goals, 7 assists. He's a guy that you probably are talking about in regards to Billy Guerin and trying to showcase himself for the Olympics. Logan Cooley with 6 goals and 4 assists. Dylan Gunther with 3 goals and 4 assists. And JJ Peterka with 2 goals, 5 assists. All guys at a point a game or over. This Utah Mammoth team, who, again, I said, they're going to be a playoff team, off to a pretty damn hot start, and they're getting the goaltending as well from Vejmelka.
Yeah, and I'm curious too with some teams, whether it's them, whether it's the New Jersey Devils. Do you worry, Jonny, when a team is playing this well this early? It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Winnipeg Jets. Always a team that, October, November, even December are, looking like who's going to beat this team. And then sometimes they sort of come back down to earth. And again, I'm not trying to be negative about it, because the Utah Mammoth are incredibly fun to watch right now. And I love to see guys in their contract years just go to a whole nother level. And that's not just Logan Cooley. That's Nick Schmaltz as well. I mean, he is gone to a new level, which, gives him a ton of leverage in these contract negotiations. And I love that, right? I love seeing guys step up to the plate. And even a guy like Nick Schmaltz, when it comes to the Olympics, he's kind of playing with house money, because he's not a guy that anybody really considers as a guy who's going to make the team. But if he's leading,
was he even in the? He's not in the conversation.
No, that's what I'm saying. I just said nobody. I mean, his brother's talking about it, and
yeah, obviously.
But listen, my point being, if you get to the time of year where you're picking this team and he's top 5 in the NHL in goals, you mean to tell me I mean, I guess they would have had to already add him to that sort of
he wasn't.
But let me ask you, what do you do if he's let's call it top 3 or 4 in goals? And they're picking the team. How do you ignore that? Can you ignore it, Jonny? I mean, especially if you're going to take a long, hard look at Logan Cooley, who comes through the U.S. program. He's kind of one of your own. They like to keep it in-house with those guys that have come through their development programs if they can, but these 2 guys seemingly playing at a bit of a higher level than most other players in the league.
I just don't think you can, again, we have to, I don't want to word this without sounding disrespectful by any means, so I want to be careful with how I say it, but
be disrespectful, it's okay.
No, but it's not meant to be disrespectful, though, because I what Nick Schmaltz is doing, I have a huge appreciation for, and I think it's obviously just you want to see all players do well, right? But when a guy is doing well in the NHL, which is still the best players in the world, versus what they can do against the best of the best, it's still, we've seen in Four Nations, it doesn't always translate. Like just because a guy will dominate in NHL games against 31 teams doesn't mean they're the same player against Team Canada or Team
Yeah.
Sweden. Like we
Listen, we
watched
saw
this
it with
happen.
Hughes
Like,
last year.
I was just going to say, Jack Hughes is the prime example. Like what he's doing right now, obviously have a huge appreciation for. He's dominating the NHL right now, but he was more of a role player for Team USA in the Four Nations. Like it doesn't always translate. So just because Nick Schmaltz is, at the top of the points board in the NHL doesn't necessarily mean he'll play for Team USA and like tear it up. Like obviously you'd give him that respect, and maybe it is hard to say like, how could we not take the hottest player in the league right now?
Right.
But
Well,
you do have to keep that in mind.
Hansley Way makes a good point. Caulfield got ignored for Four Nations. He was like 7th in goal scoring. He's, and I don't know what the exact number was, but I know you're right when you're talking about that. So listen, I don't disagree with you, Jonny, as I tend to usually do, but I do think it is part of the question. And, I think that sort of age-old body of work versus who's hot and who's playing really well. I mean, I think it's safe to say some guys that made Canada and the US made it based on their reputations, not necessarily how they were playing. You could make that argument about Chris Kreider last year, although still an effective net front player. Could you have found a better, more exciting guy? Sure, you could have, but it comes down to sort of fit and role. And Ice Club says you'd like to see a guy like Matthew Nyes added too. Yeah, like he's a guy that I wonder about though. Ice Clubs, like, is the pressure getting to him? Because I know he is putting up points this season, but I don't think he's been nearly as effective as he normally is.
All right, well, let me ask you about a guy who at least has to go. Like Colby, at this point now, I know we were hard on him in the beginning, but Cale Celebrini, what he's done the past, week and a half, like how do you not even bring him, right? Like he's going to be one of Team Canada's best players in 4 years. Even if you don't think he could play right now, he should still be there for that experience, no?
I mean, what leads you to feel like he couldn't play right now?
No, I'm not. I said even if he doesn't play right now, he should still be there. Like nothing leads me to believe he can't play right now. I told you last week or Thursday night. We haven't talked since Thursday night after the Sharks beat the Rangers, which, by the way, another bet for us that hit, even though it was meant to be the reverse action. Here's Macklin's overtime winner against the against the Minnesota Wild. Excuse me. Another incredible performance by Celebrini. I mean, this kid, I think, has 15 points now in his last 6 games or 9 games. Totally taking over. It took him a second to get going, but now he's full throttle. And again, like he's a superstar in the NHL already in year 2. But I think I texted you after that Ranger game and I said, Macklin Celebrini is the best player on 20 different NHL teams right now. I go as far as saying that.
Do I get any credit? Because it seems like once I called him out and said Bedard is playing better than him, it seems like he definitely watches the show, right, Jonny? So he probably was pissed off about what I said, and he turned it up a level. So I guess Ryan Warsofsky probably owes me a thank you for that. I'll take some credit on that.
What a guy Warsofsky is too. It's funny getting to talk to him in scrums because I feel like he understands me a little bit. Like, he said, I know you guys are all concerned about the goal scoring, but I'm not worried about it. And then after the Sharks beat the Rangers, he comes into the scrum and goes, still got all my kids. That was a great little line that he dropped. But do you want to bounce around other topics now? I mean, we could talk about the Sharks a little bit. Great to see them kind of get rolling here on this road trip. They've played some strong games.
I just want to answer New York Marine in the chat. It wasn't a reverse jinx. It was just straight call out. I mean, Celebrini did not start well the first couple of games of the year. And you wondered, is the sophomore slump going to hit Macklin Celebrini? But his compete level, it's pretty rare when a player's compete level is that noticeable at the NHL level, because for the most part, all the really good players compete like that. I mean, you watch Kucherov's compete level, or, obviously they were on last night, Braden Point's compete level, or Jack Eichel, or Connor McDavid, or you go through the Cale Makar, McKinnon, these guys compete at a different level. And Celebrini, I mean, his compete level, you just watch how he won't be denied the puck. It's
Mhm.
it is fun to watch, just to answer that question. And yeah, we can bounce around a little bit. I want to make a comment about Mitch Love.
Ice Clubs just mentioned it in our chat too.
Okay, I didn't see that yet, but look, this is a situation where the National Hockey League had an investigation. They clearly found these allegations, and that's what they are. They're allegations. He hasn't been convicted of something. They found them to be credible, and he was relieved of his duties by the Washington Capitals. He's suspended for the year by the National Hockey League, which I completely support and agree with. If the league does an investigation and they found that he had some sort of domestic, violent situation, then he doesn't deserve to be behind the bench of an NHL team right now. I personally have absolutely no sympathy for that type of behavior when it comes to women, when it comes to children, even when it comes to animals. Like, those three things for me, Jonny, raised to the level of go fuck yourself. I have no sympathy. I'm not interested in, you don't get to have redemption right now. You're going to have to go sit and wait and feel the punishment for this type of situation. Now, it's important though, guys, like, he hasn't been convicted yet legally, but the NHL, and I think it was Sharm. Was it Sharma in the chat? Somebody in the chat said, it's allegedly right now. I haven't really seen Sharma this year, so it wasn't Sharma.
Me either.
Somebody said it in the chat, but it isn't. But the NHL, they had an investigation, and that's where it led. So
Sharma is here, but Sharma has like a new name.
You are not getting, any sympathy from me. If that's the case and that's what you did, well, you're a scumbag and you don't deserve to be associated with the game right now. It doesn't mean I'm locking you in a jail cell forever and throwing the key away, because there is a legal process to it. But I just got to say that this type of behavior is it's not okay. I wanted to at least put that on the record, and give you my opinion, as I always do. You can agree with it, you can not agree with it, but good on the Capitals for acting quickly. Good on the National Hockey League for putting their foot down on that, and that's that with this situation.
I think most people would echo your feelings too, right? Like, it's against NHL conduct to do something like this, and like you said, the NHL led the investigation, so it's kind of it's their call, right? Until, like you said, a court of law steps in. But obviously, I thought you said it pretty well. I echo your statements, and again, no room for that kind of stuff, Colby. But just to go, I mean, unless anyone in the chat has anything else on it, like, we need more to come out, more news to come out on it. There hasn't really been much detail. Like, I haven't seen the actual story. I don't know if you have.
I mean, listen, I've just read what everybody else has probably read.
Yeah.
I've talked to Frank about it a little bit, and teams were aware of it. And again, listen, actions have consequences, and that's just the reality. So let's hit the New York Rangers for a couple of minutes, Jonny, before Rand Pecknold comes on. I know you're.
Do we have to?
I know you're dreading it here, but the reality is whether it's the New York Rangers, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Montreal Canadiens, the Boston Bruins, like, when one of these teams is flailing and as ugly as it is right now, there's just no way we can't talk about it. Because I mean, we were texting last night, and I was watching this game, sort of off and on, and Jonny, this team looks to me to be a rebuild candidate right now. They really do. And I know that that's not where they're going. But when I look at the makeup of the team, Jonny, I just don't and I know you're without Trocheck, and he is an incredibly important part of this team. And you've got guys like Taylor Radish and Connor Sheary, and you tried Cooley in the top six. It didn't work out. The Othmann game last night, I mean, that was just sort of sad. That sequence of events for him. I mean, it was sad. But like, where do they go, Jonny? Because, like, you're seeing the quotes out of out of JT Miller. This is unacceptable. We can't start like that. Like, where's the action? Because right now it's just lip service.
I think the last 3 games, it's certainly been lip service again. Like, I'm not going to put the 6 good games away and just say the 4 bad games have been,
But the
worthy.
results during the good games weren't
Of
there.
course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And
But
I do
even
think
last
it's
night,
important to note to point that out,
I'm trying to be very level-headed. Even last night, they come out, they suck in the first period. They're getting outskated by a team who has 1 win. Even the last 2 games, right? They lose to the Sharks, who at the time had the worst record in the NHL. And last night, the Flames, who at that point had the worst record in the NHL. So they're also, I'm not making excuses for them, but they're playing against desperate teams, right? And they haven't matched that desperate level. Also, with that said, like, this is a old team that can't really keep up with any of their opponents. They've had like 1 or 2 games where they looked like they've outskated their opponent completely. And maybe that was, the home game against the Washington Capitals where they fell short against Charlie Lindgren. But the way the roster is built right now, they're not outskating anybody. So that's why the way that Mike Sullivan has them playing defense, like, has to be effective and efficient every single night, or else this is the results we're going to see. But last night, even the second period, like I said, Laba gets a breakaway, misses. Mika gets a breakaway, misses. Othmann has a 2-on-1, misses the net. Lafreniere has a wide open net back door. Wolf robs him. They had 5 or 6 grade A chances in the second period last night to tie that game, and the pucks don't go in again. Like, they score 5 goals against the Sharks, but it's Taylor Radish scoring 3 of them. I'm blanking on Parson hasn't the other one, and I'm trying to even think who had the other one. But either way, Mika had the other one. But when you're asking for Mika Zibanejad and Artemi Panarin and Lafreniere and Trocheck's out, but these guys to perform consistently in the top 6 and they're not doing it, obviously it raises arms and you have to ask a lot of questions if these guys are actually talented enough to do it. And right now the balance of the team is kind of all over the place, right? Like, at times the third line, which is really the fourth line, has been outplaying the top line offensively, and that's a positive for the depth players to be playing well, but it's a huge negative when those guys are outplaying your top guys. But I feel like I'm rambling a bit. That said,
I just look and I look at the build of the team and I look at the team speed and I just, like, man, I truly believe that this team is closer to a rebuild than a cup. And they need to make some changes and add some speed in their back end, Jonny. Like, it's just a slow-footed group. So I can't believe, though, a Mike Sullivan team looks so lifeless, because I think Sully's a great motivator, and he's a details coach. And so to see them playing with this, just to see the play with Othmann last night, like, forget the offensive chance that he screwed up, but just not having the poise to get back and defend that rush properly. I mean, that just shows
I blame Cooley too.
Lack of attention to detail there, man. It really does. And I'm curious, like, I'm curious, like, you thought Cooley was going to have a big breakout year, and you're still, I know, like, deep down, you still want Lafreniere to be the guy he never will be. But, like, are you worried that, like, those things are never going to happen?
So never going to happen. I don't know if I'll say that. Maybe never going to happen here. Because I think, like, talent doesn't just go away. We've seen these guys have talent. Like, Will Cooley scored 20 goals last year, and it wasn't by accident. Lafreniere 2 years ago, obviously has a great playoff performance, not by accident. Like, the talent is there, and that's the frustrating part with the young guys. Again, like, I'm not saying Lafreniere is Macklin Celebrini or Connor Bedard or some of the first overall picks that we've seen, because at some point the player has to have the responsibility to take it over, and there can't be excuses for them anymore. And I think that's kind of where we're at for Lafreniere. Like, when he's getting first power play time and not doing much with it, he's playing with Artemi Panarin and Mika Zibanejad, not doing much with it. Like, you can't sit here and say it's on the way that the Rangers have developed him anymore. Like, you could say it in the first 3 years when he was playing third line, not getting first power play, but now we're 3 years into him, like, really getting some sort of opportunity, and it's not consistent. So that's where the problem is really lying right now, is that even though these older guys, maybe are starting to, what's the word I'm looking for here? Their careers are starting to slow down a little bit. it's not like the young guys are coming in and grabbing spots from them. You know, like you need the younger players to come in and actually steal the jobs, but the younger guys aren't doing that. So what the hell does that leave the coaching staff to do? Like, you're not going to play Othmann in the top 6 when Othmann isn't going out there and scoring a goal. He hasn't scored a goal yet in his NHL career. He's played, 25 plus games. I think that's a huge issue too, is like the young talent they have isn't dominating when they get the opportunities to show something. And you're left there with having to play the guys that you've seen do it before, even if they're not doing it now. Hopefully I said that right. My brain is scrambling a little bit trying to articulate my thoughts just because I have so many of them without, trying to stay on one topic. It's hard to just talk about one topic with the Rangers right now because, again, like, in 6 of the 10 games they've played, they've been the better team. But in the 4 games that they have been bad, they've looked really bad.
Yeah. Well,
and it's been 3 in a row now.
It's a results business. So looking back and saying we played well and didn't get results and now we're playing poorly, like I'd say that falls.
No, it's a bad taste.
And people calling for Gabriel Perreault, like, listen, like, you got to be careful because rushing a young player up and giving him a little bit of a savior complex is never ever something that works when you can't score goals. So to bring a guy up with limited experience and expect him to fix your top 6 issues, like, I'd say they need to let Gabriel Perreault play in the American League and have a little stretch and, kind of find his way that way. So,
but Emmitt Finnie is the perfect example in Detroit, Colby. Like, Emmitt Finnie got the opportunity and ran with it. Like, these guys aren't running with the opportunity. That's the difference.
Didn't run with it. He didn't do anything last year at the end of the year that made you feel like this guy's ready to go right away.
No,
he just never did.
But I will say, like, Noah Laba had a great game last night. He was the Rangers' best forward by far last night. He was skating. He was physical. He was excellent.
But I think the attention to detail in his defensive game is what gives him the opportunity to develop on the fly in the NHL. He's not a guy that needs the puck on his stick. He's not a guy that you're looking to create offense, right? It's a little bit more of a secondary role, a little less pressure with those third line matchups, especially for a young centerman. So again, we'll see where this situation goes. Cause like, if they continue to slide, the noise is only going to get louder. I mean, it is only going to get louder and louder. And, again, like, you have to wonder, is Mike Sullivan sitting there going, what did I get myself into? Right.
Yeah. Well, my last thing with them, Colby, just my last thing, like, had they won, 2 of the games where they actually played well, it's different. But the Ranger fans haven't really seen positive results yet through 10 games. Like, we're sitting here talking about a team that's won 3 games. I think their record's 3-6-1, I think. Let me pull that up. Like,
it's 3-5-2. So
3-5-2.
3-5-2. And look, you can't make the playoffs right now, Johnny, but boy, can you miss them. And look, they go on this stretch for another 10 games and they're sitting at, 5-10-2, and all of a sudden you're in the basement and, you're getting close to Thanksgiving. And so it can turn into a real shit show. So, all right, look, I want to move on. We do have Tate Pecknold joining us here any minute for our first Cuppa College segment. But first, I want to let everybody know that on the sheet today, Sheldon Keefe and Bill Armstrong will be joining Jeff Merritt at 1 o'clock. I believe 1:20 and 1:40 are the 2 times for Sheldon Keefe and Bill Armstrong. And maybe Jeff will ask him if he wants to call me out on me calling him out. Not that I'm actually kidding, because obviously Sheldon Keefe does not give a shit what I have to say, nor should he. But certainly with that whole power play rotation and all the, let's call it the PR that they've been doing to try to convince everybody of that situation. So make sure you tune into the sheet today at 1 p.m. That'll be a loaded show with an NHL head coach and an NHL GM of probably the 2 hottest teams in the National Hockey League right now, right? So, always good to get those guys when things are good. You'll get them in a good mood, Jeff. So I'm sure those guys will be good conversation pieces. So, Johnny, why don't you take the ball back here and read Tate Pecknold into the show, because first time guest that we're very excited to have.
Yes, so our first edition of the Cuppa College segment every Monday towards the end of Monday's show is going to be brought to you by Out West. As everyone knows by now, the El Dorado collection has officially arrived at the Out West HQ, and this drop features 3 new colors of our best-selling Zakara Performance hoodie: the Nightfall, Kentucky Charcoal, and Kerry Green. Subtle tones that were heavily requested from our fan base, so we figured it was time. New on the roster are 2 performance pieces. We work closely with our manufacturing team to find a French terry fabric that's more durable without sacrificing comfort. Enter the Brighton Full Zip Jacket and the Stellar Performance Q-Zip, both available in 4 colors for effortless layering, and performance. And rounding out the release, the highly anticipated men's everyday vest makes its debut. A puffer, but not puffy. If you know, you know. So clean design, versatile fit, built for wherever your day takes you. Certain sizes and colors sold quickly in pre-order, so do yourself a favor and grab the piece you've had your eye on before it's too late. Out West, every game needs an outlaw. And with that, let's bring on head coach of the Quinnipiac Bobcats, Ran Pecknold. Ran, how you doing?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on, guys.
We are pumped to have you. Just did our little Out West read, and I gotta ask you quickly off the bat, because one of your players actually has worked with Out West before, and I'm not even sure if you're familiar with that. But Ethan Wittenbach, the freshman Calgary Flames prospect, one of my favorite guys, or favorite kids. I don't even know what to call him. He's like a young adult now, I guess, which is so weird to think about because I've known him since he's 10 years old. But he stepped in, and he's been, a bright light for your Bobcats so far this year. And just seeing his progression throughout his freshman year so far, what can you say about a young kid stepping in and having this big of an impact for you guys?
Yeah, he's been really good. Obviously, he's a high-end offensive talent, and I mean, he makes plays and he finishes plays. Like, that's probably his best thing, is he actually finishes plays at our level as only an 18-year-old. So he's been really good. Still working on he's got to get stronger and work on his skating a little bit. And work on the defending part of it, but he's getting there. So we've been really happy with him through a month or so. I guess a month of practice and now a month of games, so 2 months. He's been good.
Rand, one of the things that I always appreciate about the way you handle the early part of the season, and I think, look, people have been critical of Penn State this year. It's seemingly become more to the forefront because of all the attention that they've gotten, is the fact that you like to start every season by taking your team right into the lion's den. You go and you find, the teams that are ranked preseason in the top 5, top 10, teams that have won championships. And you say, you know what? That's who I'm starting my season with. And this year you've got wins over BC, wins over Maine. You played Providence, that is a top 10 preseason team. And you play BU in a couple of weeks in November. And I'm just curious, like, from a mentality standpoint, is that something that you like to do because you want a measuring stick? Is it because you want to just go right into the fire? Like, what is the thought process behind that? Because you don't see many programs willing to go out on the ledge like you do every single season with your schedule.
Yeah, I mean, we want to play a tough schedule. Especially in October. I mean, we need to teach our freshmen how to defend, and if we're going to go play a team where we're going to outshoot them 45-15, like, we're not teaching them how to play defense. And so we do want to play a tough schedule in the month of October. Would have loved to have got that BU game in October. It didn't work. You didn't mention we beat Notre Dame also. That was a good game. That's a good team.
My bad. Sorry about that.
That's okay. It's the first time we ever played them, which was kind of amazing that we had never played them before. But yeah, we definitely want to challenge our boys, and we want to play a tough schedule all year, and try and play the big boys and get ready for playoffs at the end of the season.
And Ren, with that, when you're playing against the big boys, I feel like your team, there's been like a false narrative, over the past couple of years. I think people have said like Quinnipiac's an older team, they don't have a lot of, younger one and dones, or the guys who spend 2 years then go to the NHL. But there is a lot of young talent on your team. So you do have that like perfect blend. And, I kind of know it because firsthand, like one of my best friends is Chase Prisky. So obviously, he speaks super highly of you and the program. But I'm curious when everything sort of flipped for Quinnipiac, because obviously now you guys are a household program. Everyone knows who Quinnipiac is, whether you're in Western Canada and Europe, Quinnipiac is a familiar brand. And was it just arriving, on those first couple national championships? Like, when did you feel this program that you've built started to flip that script a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I agree on the false narrative. a lot of that's, been perpetuated by Biz Nasty, who I love that guy. I think he's awesome. He's really good at what he does, but so many times he's like, oh, Quinnipiac, they're like 29 years old. And says people trust him, right? He's a good guy. He's a guy's guy. But yeah, I mean, listen, in 2013, when we were number one in the country and lost the national championship game, we were old through and through. That's how we had to win back then. Everybody was coming in as a 20 or 21-year-old freshman. And then things changed a little bit. In 2016, we go back to the Frozen. We're number one again that year. We lost the national championship again that year. But like Devon Tays was on that team. He came at 19. Connor Clifton came at 18. He was on that team. Some guys. By the way, side note on Tays, they played the Bruins the other night, and he showed up. They flew in, Avalanche did, and he showed up at our Merrimack game and came in the locker room to say hi to me and the coaches. It was awesome. Like, it's
no way.
Obviously busy schedule. They got I think they had a day game the next day. So, but just a great side story. What a great elite person that he is, and obviously I'm really proud of what he's done. But going back to the false narrative, now we're a little bit all over the map. Like, we'll take guys that we think are ready. I mean, we have two 18-year-olds on the team this year. We got Witt, who we already talked about, and Matt Lansing, and they're doing great. Could they have played another year of juniors? Yeah. But they're ready to go at 18, and we'll develop them here ourselves. Elliot Grunwald came in last year at 18. Pelosi came last year at 19. It's probably a little easier to come as a 19-year-old. I mean, the kids all think they're ready at 18. It's probably a little easier to have that extra year. You're just a little more mature, a little more physically advanced, and you've dealt with more things. But we get a little bit of everything with the CHL rule. Like, there were so many good 04s out there. So, we in the CHL, so we grabbed a couple really good 04s. But I think in the end, like, we want to mix. And we're not as worried about age. We're worried about, elite character, great character kids who have hockey IQ and, that are selfless and want to win.
Ren, I know at one point, and I didn't go back and add it all up, but do you still have the most wins, like, in the last 10, 15 years? I remember going into the national championship year in 2023, no one had won more games than you and your program over the previous 10 seasons. Does that still hold true?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I haven't done it either, Colby, but it's either the last 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. I think we're one almost all the time. I mean, there might be the odd year that somebody else went and we're two, but usually we're one in wins. I think we're one in wins, one in face-off percentage, one in penalty kill, 2 or 3 in power play. Like, it's pretty impressive from a national ranking. Like, we do well. Like, I always talk about control the controllables, and as coaches, we can help on the power play, we can help on the PK, we can help on face-off. So we need to be good with those things, and I think we are.
Yeah, and I think development, you've used that word a couple of times. Like, I remember when Charles, when Legault first started playing for you, he was a 7th defenseman.
Correct.
I mean, I still have line charts from his freshman year where, he was a 7th D, and then look how he developed over the years. And, it sort of takes me into that whole, it's not just a development space for players. Look how your coaching tree is now starting to pan out. You have a number of guys who have been on your staff who are now head coaches in the NCAA, whether it's Billy Riga, there's a number of other ones. But how important is that to you? Because you do win a lot of games. Now you're starting to see Colin Graff. We know about Taves. We know about Clifton. Now Legault's playing in the NHL. Skylar Brindamore has played some games. Peretz has played some games. There's a whole number of guys. So, like, how important is that to you, Ran, that you're not just winning, but you're developing talent and you're developing your coaching tree?
Yeah, well, you forgot Zach Metza, too. He's up right now with the Sabres. A whole great side story. Like, I mean, he came as an 8th defenseman for us, and he was a captain of our national championship team, and now he's in the NHL. It's crazy. Wisconsin kid, and we got him out east. And again, he was our 8 as a. I remember him. I always remember the story. We played BC his freshman year, and I didn't know this till later. It was his birthday. Like, he sat on the bench. He didn't get a shift. I said, Joe, you didn't give him a shift to do, man. I'm like, you didn't play him one shift. I couldn't get him out there. So Zach reminds me that every year when we golf. But in terms of the coaching tree, Cashman's at Dartmouth, Benny Sires at Princeton.
The best. Yeah.
Joey Dume's had multiple head coach offers and turned them all down to stay with me, which that's probably my best recruit that I keep every year. He's one.
He was at Union, right?
He was at Union, yeah. So
I remember him.
Union, UConn. I kind of helped steer his career a little bit. But I haven't. Every time he gets a head offer, I'm like, Joe, I think you should take it. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going. So I'm like, great. So he stays. But it's been nice. It's a nice little caveat to see, you know, a little feather in my cap that these guys have gone on and been really successful. And listen, we got more now. Joe eventually is going to be a head coach. We just hired Caston Summer from Holy Cross. He's excellent. I mean, he's going to be a head coach after 3-4 years here. Like he's going to be really good down the road. He's really good right now, but he's going to be a great head coach too. So I think we have a certain culture, a certain way of doing things, and I think it translates to other programs.
And I want to stick with this like development theme, Rand, just because, you know, I feel like a lot of listeners might not be super familiar with how it works, but how often are you in touch with like NHL scouts? Like obviously you have players that are drafted on your team, and, you know, sometimes scouts will roll in whether you're playing, you know, a home game or in Boston. I feel like a lot of scouts are usually in the Boston games. But your communication with like keeping in contact with NHL teams who have prospects in your program, you know, I'm sure they're checking in, asking how this guy's doing, how that guy's doing, if this guy's playing power play, if the, you know, stuff like that. Like how often do you hear from NHL scouts?
All the time. Scouts, AGMs, sometimes GMs. We're Quinnipiac's in a very unique situation. We're close to New York City. So what we'll get a lot is, you know, teams that are coming and they're going to come play the Islanders, Rangers, Devils, 3 games in 4 days. A lot of times it's like Thursday, Friday, Sunday, or whatever. So those GMs or AGMs will come out east, do that swing with the team, and then pop in for our Saturday game, or maybe it's our Friday game. So the other reason we get so many is we typically always have the best undrafted free agents in college hockey, or some of the best.
Yeah, you got one now.
Yeah, we got a few right now. So like a couple years ago, like Colin Graff and Jacob Quillen were like they were probably the 2 best, or you could argue 2 of the 3 best. You know, Peretz. I mean, you can go back to even when we had Eric Hartzell. So we'll literally have, you know, it's almost like teams will, as the season gets later into February, you'll have 20 guys that follow us Friday night and Saturday night on the road too, when they're trying to make decisions and trying to recruit our guys. So, you know, we tend to get some of the best undrafted kids. And listen, we've also had a lot of kids too that come in as freshmen undrafted and get drafted after their freshman year. So like Taze, undrafted, Chase Prisky, you mentioned earlier, Charles Legault, undrafted. I mean, 6'3", can skate. Nobody wanted him. Nobody took him. And then he had a great freshman year for us. And Carolina drafts him 5th round, and then sophomore year, and they sign him, and now he's in the NHL. So it's a pretty cool story.
Wow.
And let me ask you, just to follow up, is there a name or two right now, Rand, on your team? You know, before we do, I do want to talk to you about the whole landscape of college hockey and recruiting and all, but before we go there, there's probably a number of people, you know, that aren't necessarily college hockey people that are, you know, listening, watching, or whatever. Is there a name or two on your team right now that they all need to just put in the back of their mind because you think like there's a good opportunity we're going to see these guys playing in the National Hockey League in one of their cities here in the next couple of seasons?
Yeah, I think, I mean, one of our strengths right now is our depth. You know, we've got 8 or 9, maybe 10 kids that are really, really good college hockey players and have a chance. If I had to pick one, you know, probably Jeremy Wilmer. He's been great so far. It's funny, he has good stats right now, but he should have a lot more. Like the expected goals that he's created, either him or guys he's passed to is off the charts, and those guys will start to finish more. He's been really good, obviously undersized, but he's learning the game. He's making better decisions with his puck management. He's defending better, and I can see him going and being a really good American League player. And then if he continues to blossom with kind of rounding out his game, because he's so good on the power play. Maybe, you know, needs to work on maybe some other things too, but he's got a chance. And Mason Marcellus is really good. He was a preseason pick, all ECAC. But we got a few others. Got some good guys too. We have a few good draft picks too that have a chance. But I think again, our strength is our depth. Like we're pretty deep. We go 4. We really don't have a 4th line. I don't know if I've ever had a team where I haven't had a 4th line, but we don't have a 4th line this year. We have, you know, probably 2 firsts and 2 thirds right now, and sometimes those 2 thirds are our best line in certain games.
Yeah,
well, I'm pretty sure. Go.
Yeah, I was just gonna say your depth lines have always been lines that came up big for you, and in those games that Butchie and I always seemingly are doing with you, you know, come springtime, and Jonny, why don't you go ahead? Because I did want to flip the topic a little bit and talk a little bit about the recruiting. And, you know, he's got a guy on his team that played pro hockey, and I want to ask him about that whole situation. And so go ahead, finish your question, Jonny, and then we'll go back to it.
I was just going to follow up basically and say I think Islander fans already have Jeremy Wilmer jerseys made. You know, I think they're expecting him to just stay home. But you know, one of my favorite questions to kind of ask coaches before like doing a broadcast and whatnot is if you could pick one player, and I know it's hard, it's like asking you to pick your children, but one player, you know, past or present, that like best represents what Quinnipiac hockey means. I'm curious, like what name you would pick.
Ooh. That you're going to kill me. They're going to kill me on the group chat with the alumni group chat if I answer that question. I mean, you know, like I couldn't pick one. I mean, the guys that I always talk about that I think changed our culture and launched us are the twins, Connor and Kellen Jones. We're both coaching now. One's at Princeton, one's at Holy Cross. Like those two, their compete and their work ethic changed our practice culture. And a lot of reasons why we develop players so well is our practice culture. Our practices are awesome. They are unbelievable. Every day, it's a war, it's a battle. Kids come to play, and when you fire at that 100% every day, you're not coasting. You kind of take off. So I think, you know, the twins were big, Connor and Cal. Matt Pekka comes in the next year after that. He just adds to that. He's one of the best we ever had. His practice work ethic was great. His game work ethic was great. Obviously, Taze was unbelievable. Connor Clifton. You know, we've had so many. Those were the early years. And then, you know, in recent, I mean, you look at Colin Graff, who was undrafted, and, you know, why does he soar the way he did, right? Like, you know, we weren't his first choice when he transferred. Like, he wanted to go to some of the Boston schools, and they didn't want him. And he comes here, and he's third leading scorer in the country, and undrafted, and he has, you know, whatever, 25 NHL offers to leave. He did one more year, but the thing that Graffer did with us, like he was just all in. Like his practice work ethic was unbelievable every day. And when you do that, like his skating took off, his defensive skills, his stick on puck, everything just gets better and better. And I think that's not our only key to success, but it's a big key why Quinnipiac's really good. Like obviously our off-ice, our strength coach is phenomenal. That's a big part of our development too, but our practices are really, really good. And I think and listen, to my early years of coaching, like I've been doing this a long time, like Monday was a waste. It was a wasted day, right? It's Friday, Saturday night. We know what the kids do Sunday. They watch football. We know what they do. We don't want them to do it, but we know what they do. And then Monday was a joke. Practice was a waste of time. And I finally I had it one year. It was probably, I don't know if it was 08 or 09. And I said, guys, we're not going to waste Mondays anymore. And I just think a lot of college teams waste Mondays, myself included back in the day. And I'm like, we're not going to waste Monday practice. We're going to get after it. And then listen, it's not me screaming and yelling at them. It's them buying in. Like, this is what we need to do to be better. And this is what we need to do to play in pro hockey.
I've seen it firsthand. I was in Ireland with you guys my freshman year. I think it must have been 16, 17. And I watched you guys practice like 2 of those days. And I was just like, holy shit, these guys beat the crap out of each other. You know, we did too at UMass, but it was just like on a different level when you guys, you know, were in the national championship the year before. I was sitting there as a freshman, like, this is different hockey. So I had an appreciation for that, but Prisky also is texting me right now. He's watching, so if you want to compliment him later, I'll give you the chance.
Oh, he is Chase. Oh, I love Chase. He's probably mad he wasn't on that list, but he's got a work ethic. Oh, there's another one. He was undrafted. He came undrafted, drafted after his freshman year too. He popped. Like I was worried about him coming in. Chase, I'm talking to him right now. Like he struggled in salmon arm. Like he was a really good player younger, and then he struggled in salmon arm a little bit. And I think they tried to rein him in a little bit, and then he was great. So he was a freshman on that Frozen Four team in 2016, and he ran our second power play and really, really worked at figuring out how to defend because he couldn't defend a lick when he got to us, but he was pretty good when he left. And always had that great 1T. But great player for us, great work ethic, a great captain too, 2-year captain.
All right, so now I want to ask you about Graham Sward, if I'm pronouncing it properly,
yep.
And Here's what I want to say about it first, because I want to continue to be fair and consistent, is that don't hate the player, hate the game, right? Like the rules are the rules. So if you can get a guy in, good for you for making it work. But the process of it, getting a guy who played pro hockey to now bring him into your college lineup, from what I've seen, he's been really good, and the guy's a good player. But yes. Two-parter, like how did that whole thing go down? And then the other question I have for you, based on the early season results where every night one of the big dogs, teams that I think can win a national championship, your team being one of them, is losing to teams that I don't think have any chance of winning a national championship. I've seen BU do it. I've seen you guys have done it. I've seen Maine lose games to some, is the parity just that good this year because of the new landscape? So again, it's a long two-parter, Rand, but if you could take us through a little bit of that, because it's really interesting to people, especially those who don't know or are familiar with the game, the NCAA game.
Well, Colby, you're challenging me with a two-parter. It would have been easier if we just went 1 and 1, but we'll jump in on the two-parter. With Graham, listen, the rules have changed, and there's coaches out there complaining and bitching and moaning, and it's like, well, you can bitch and moan, or you can adapt, and the rules changed, and we're what we're doing is legal. So, in Graham's situation, he played in the Coast. The East Coast does not pay well. The kids there, if you're not on an NHL contract, you're making 30, 35 grand, maybe 40, it's low. So the NCAA has a rule. It's actual necessary expenses. And there's no set number of what it is. Some people are like, it's 60 or 70 grand. So if you sign an NHL bonus for 90 grand and make 90, you're playing in the minors, you make 180, you're not playing college hockey. So it's only kids that are under that threshold. And I can't give you the exact number. Some people are guessing it's 60 to 70. But you do have 9, 10, 11 pro hockey kids who played pro last year playing college. We're not the only one that did it. We just figured it out. And, how it happened was Caston Summer, my new assistant, we had found out that Graham was thinking about. So let's take a step back. The old rule was in major junior CHL, you could go and play pro hockey for 18 months. And then you could go to a Canadian college as long as within the 18-month window. So Graham was thinking about going to a Canadian school. So this rule's been around forever. So I think the NHL is mad at the NCAA for this, but it's been going on forever with the Canadian college. What's the difference? You know what I mean? And so I don't know if they were going to get a protocol or how it's going to do, or they're going to close the loophole or what. But, to me, Graham was I was thinking about going to college, which his parents were you should have gone to college. And so, through Caston's dad, Roy Summer, who had coached him in Wenatchee, and I believe he's the all-time leading win leader in the American Hockey League, if I'm not mistaken. Wow. Was hey, you should, if you're going to go to Canadian, why don't you look at Quinnipiac? So it all worked out that way. In terms of your question on parity, I completely agree with you. You nailed it. There's so much parity in college hockey, and it's not just the CHL; it's the transfer portal. So what a lot of these, what's the phrase I want to use here? Programs that we'd say are maybe lower on the totem pole in terms of the recruiting pecking order, have figured out don't get freshmen that aren't very good, they can't play. Go get juniors and go get 22, 23, 24-year-old kids that have played a little bit of college hockey. Maybe they're 7th, 8th D at a different program. Bring them in. They're older, they're stronger, they're bigger. They've got some maturity to them. So I think it's a combination. The CHL has definitely created parity, but I also think it's the transfer portal. The transfer portal has changed everything in college hockey. It's really created the parity more than the CHL, but I do think the CHL has helped it.
Colby, I'm going to kick it over to you just to kind of wrap this up. I know you wanted to plug your own career highlight.
Listen, you and I, Jonny, both have history with Rand, and yours is
more emotional.
You were fangirling out on him at the Four Nations, and you had to get your picture with him. Rand. I don't know if you remember this at all, but Jonny brought
I do.
He
stalked me for 5 minutes. I said no 6 times, and he just kept coming. I was like, all right, I caved. No, I'm just kidding.
That's exactly how it went down.
He probably was stalking you, trying to get on your team years and years ago too, sending you emails, and you're like, "Nah, you're too soft for me. This doesn't work."
I played against
I still got eligibility, coach. I can play on the power play, baby. Let's go. Put me on the PP.
I'm a point per game against Quinnipiac. I'll take that with me for sure.
So here's the other story I quickly want to tell, and this was again your first national championship was in 2023. You had been to the championship game a couple of times. We already talked about how many wins that you've had. Your program, deserves to be talked about as a household name at this point, no matter what Biz says. And I got my own problems with Biz for mixing me up with Ben Barr. So it looks like we both have something to say about him right now, Rand. But so you win the game in overtime, dramatic fashion. I've already said what I think about who outcoached who in that game. I've talked about that on the show plenty of times. But you and I shared an incredible moment together that I will tell you this. Coolest moment I have ever had as a broadcaster, and it's not even close. And I'll set the stage a little bit, and then we'll play the video for you.
You got the video? You're going to show the video?
Oh, yeah.
That's
we got
big
the
time.
video.
Wow.
We win this game in or they win the game in overtime. The coaches are celebrating, and within probably 3 minutes of this goal going in and this national championship happening, he's got to do an interview with me right from between the benches. So Vic, tee it on up. Let's play it for everyone because I want people to see this this cool moment that we shared, which was a viral ESPN top 10 moment for the next week on SportsCenter. Go ahead, Vic, play it.
Well, Rand, you made this program Division I in 1999. Nobody's won more games than you in the past 10 years. Now you're going to hang that banner at your home rink. What does it feel like for you right now?
I'm just trying not to cry. I don't think I can do this. Just proud. Just awesome. Sorry, I can't. I need a hug. Give me a hug.
So good.
God, I'm tearing up right now
different?
watching. You guys are killing me.
Would you do it any differently, Rand? Would you do it any differently, or would you do the same?
No. I mean, listen. What a lot of people don't realize is Colby and I are friends. I've known him and Bucci. I know those guys, and so we end up in the regionals a lot in the same region as them, and we had just been in the same hotel. We beat Merrimack and Ohio State to make the Frozen Four, and they were at our hotel, and every night I saw them, and it was in near where I live. So I'd give them, dinner recommendations, and they'd come back, and I'd be sitting. I would hang out in the bar. I'd go in the corner and order my buffalo wings, and I would just crush video with my back to everybody, so no parents would talk to me, just because I was so stressed. And those two would wheel right in and just climb up at the table. What do you got for me? You got an injury report? You got something? I'm like, I'm giving them nothing. But so I had, I spent a lot of time with these guys, so I'm friends with Colby. So I think a lot of the people out there thought this is just some random reporter asking me a question, and I broke down and had a nervous breakdown in front of how many million viewers. But he's actually, we're buddies. And a side note, my son now plays for Colby, on the New Jersey Titans. So I got to throw Tate's name in there, make sure I get some.
Yeah,
get some
I didn't even know that.
him.
Yeah. Oh, I've talked about that before. Well, look, that was just seeing. Look, you are great with the broadcasters. You really are. It's always, it's always, we always walk away learning something when we get that opportunity to sit with you. But what a cool moment. Like I said, I have yet to have a moment that cool happen to me other than that in broadcasting. So I thought it was great and appreciated. And I was happy you guys won. I think a lot of people counted you out that night and thought Minnesota was going to have their way with you guys, but great moment. And hopefully we'll listen. I think the expectations are that you're in Vegas this year. I mean, your team looks really good early, so we hope that that's the case, and we hope to see you in Sin City here.
Well, I'll tell you, Colby, we got some work to do if we're going to make Vegas. We're good. We have some talent, but our buy-in is sporadic, and you cannot have sporadic buy-in and make a run like that, like we did that year. That year, Metz-Seguin was our captain. What a leader! We had a great group under that, and then we showed up every game. I think we had 1 or 2 bad games the whole season. But right now, I like our team. It's high character kids. Good, we definitely have enough talent. But we pick and choose when we want to buy in, and if we go rogue, we lose. If we buy in, we win. So it's a battle, and we're gonna keep fighting that battle, and hopefully the kids understand that, and we get better as the year progresses.
Is there, Colby, if I may, just one quick one? Is there any punishment you have, for weekend results? I know sometimes Carve at UMass, when I was there, we did this thing he would make us go, down and back on the boards if we took a penalty. The individual player would go down and back, and then you go down and back again with the team. And there was a weekend I had 4 penalties, so I was doing down and back and then down and back with the team. Do you guys do anything like that?
You know what? That's a great question. I never bag skate my team. Never.
Wow.
Ever. I don't believe in it. Do I believe in it forever ago? Yeah, I can't remember when I stopped doing it, but everything for us is like, look, we're gonna, if they do something egregious, like something really stupid, which they do once in a blue moon, not a lot. I have some pretty good kids, actually high character kids. Then it might be I'll get them here at 6 a.m. and they'll have to clean the boards with a toothbrush or something stupid. But I don't believe in punishing by skating. And the other thing that happens when you bag skate your guys, the whole Herb Brooks thing, like your players hate you. Now, if you want that, that's fine. Some coaches want that, right? That they want to unify the team with that hate around the coach, and I get that, and it works for certain guys. But I just don't believe it. I don't believe in bag skating our kids. I don't believe I think at the youth hockey level, you shouldn't bag skate your kids. Like create drills that have high pace.
Hidden baggers.
We're in as good a shape as anyone in the country. Like you go back to that Michigan Frozen Four and Minnesota now, like we're in better shape than those two teams. Like we just outworked them in the third period. But we get all of our conditioning in our drills, and if you have enough pace, and we have pace drills that I call them. And you can even create pace drills for 12-year-old hockey, right? Create races or something like that. But I'm a big believer. Like bag skating to me is like 1980 Herb Brooks. It worked back in the day, and you got to adapt. It's like the seatbelt, right? Nobody used to wear seatbelts, and we got to adapt, And now it's just natural. You just wear it. So I think eventually, like bag skating is going to go away a little bit. And I also think we didn't get on this topic today, Colby, but I also think you're going to see, and it's already happening, teams are going to start to pull their goalie a lot earlier and earlier.
Well, I can tell you this. We do a lot of conditioning. Like we do a lot of conditioning with the Titans. We try to build it into the practices. And then if we don't like the pace, and I actually think our team has, like, I don't get the sense that they hate me for it, although I could be wrong. I think that they all actually like
They definitely hate you for it.
Probably, but most likely. But all right, my last thing for you, Rand, before we let you go. Do you know what Tate's face-off percentage is this year? I had this one. I was going to throw it at you at the end. Do you know it? Do you know what his face-off percentage is this year, if you had to guess?
I mean, like, and so I try to watch every game. I can't, like, the other night I watched, I think, a period and a half, and then we were playing UNH, so I couldn't. But I feel like every game he's like 4-1 because he doesn't take a lot, right? He just comes in and takes power play draws and PK draws, right? So I'm going to guess 70%, but I mean, I don't have the numbers.
65.8%. I ran all the numbers yesterday.
That's really good. Yeah.
We've got 5 guys that take draws for us. They're all over 50, which is good. But he was at 65.8% when I ran everything yesterday. So
and listen, the last thing, Colby, I want to do is tell you how to coach a team. But if you got a kid with 66%, man, he needs more ice time. But he's done it great, and it's just power play and PK, right? When he comes in for draws, or maybe 4-4 a little bit, I don't know. But
I kind of tell the guys, listen, like, talk amongst yourselves. We don't have that stuff live on the bench in games, so I'll say to the guys, hey, who's hot in the draw tonight? And I'll ask them, like, and usually he's the one who says I'm hot, and I'll say, okay, you're taking this draw. So I kind of
like that strategy.
I give those guys sort of the opportunity to see who's going to raise their hand in some of the bigger moments to take draws, and kind of let them sort of tell me, and I kind of put that on them. So whether that's right or not, I don't know, but it's certainly worked so far because we win a lot of faceoffs.
Yeah, and I honestly, as I'm speaking out loud, like Annan Strabon's our best faceoff guy, and he's a wing. But I should probably, and he takes all our power play draws and the zero there, but I should probably have him take even more than he does. So I'm gonna self-coach myself right now and talk to him this week and be like, you need to get in there and take even more. He's really good.
And Grinnell is saying in the chat that you need to get that locker room renovation done so Chicklets you can come by. He thinks that you might be delaying because if you get out on the golf course with Grinnell, he's going to take all your money. So that's the.
I know. I gave him the invite to come play, and he big timed me. I was trying to get him on the course. I don't know how many golf balls he's going to lose when he's out there. I've heard some rumors about his golf game, but yeah. So actually, our locker renovation, I have a call on it tomorrow. It's slated for we'll break ground during the Frozen Four this April, so we can get him in. Yeah, once that's done, we'd love to have him.
Awesome.
That'll be great.
And I will defend you too, though, Rand. I'll say Quinnipiac's rank, as far as building out a college hockey rink goes, You can't find a better place to play than Quinnipiac. Like,
Thank you.
perfect
I appreciate
size,
that.
perfect atmosphere. I mean, I hate those fucking Teletubbies, but other than that,
I know, isn't that crazy? I don't even
everything's
know how that
perfect.
happened. That's like they have. By the way, they have tryouts for that every year. They actually try
It's
out
crazy.
to be Teletubby because
Yeah.
they graduate every 4 years. So
It's one of the best things in
in
college hockey.
2012 or something, like it was like a Halloween gag, and then they've never left. There's always the 4 Teletubbies.
Well, listen, we're grateful for your time. We'll be keeping an eye on your results, and we'll get you back on later in the year. But we appreciate you being our first Cuppa College guest this year, and good luck the rest of the way. We will certainly be, like I said, keeping an eye on all the results.
You got it. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks, Fran. Awesome stuff. What a guy.
Yeah.
Seriously, I think again, hopefully our listeners appreciate it. Like, we're going to try to get different perspectives around college hockey, but just hearing from one of the most profound coaches too in all of college hockey. Like, that's something that's super special. So,
well, there's a reason he's had interviews with NHL teams. I mean, I think he's had the opportunity to go to pro hockey had he wanted to, and he hasn't. So, look, I think he would be a guy that he'd be a great summer episode guy, because we could go a whole hour with him. Like, we could just go the whole hour. I mean, he built Quinnipiac. His coach's office, he said, was like a closet when he first got there. Literal closet. It was a club hockey program, which he took Division I, right? So that was part of the question that I gave him in that Frozen Four national championship interview was, you turn this program from a literal janitor's closet into a powerhouse that's won more games than everybody else. So hopefully they'll continue to win, and they'll continue to get back to the Frozen Four, and he'll continue to give us great interviews. That's I think a couple of things that we can hope for.
Yeah, and one other thing about Quinnipiac, I got to shout out Matt Mugno, always in our chat. Someone who I've worked with. He had a viral moment too from that national championship. He was doing the radio, I believe, at Quinnipiac. I got to call like that, overtime goal, obviously, which everyone is familiar with. But a lot of Quinnipiac alum, it seems like, in our chat right now. But I know Quinnipiac has a special place in Maddie's heart, so I just want to shout out him too. But other than that, Colby, anything else you want to talk about today before we get into our last order of business? I mean, there's not much hockey on tonight.
Before you get to it, let's get the like button going. The likes are low, so let's make sure we hit that like button. Let's make sure we get automatic downloads on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Set it. Make sure they're downloading in. Let's keep buzzing with the audio only. Leave comments in the YouTube stream. When we're done, we will come back to them. If there are things other than "you're a moron," which we do get quite frequently, which we like that too, by the way. That's extremely entertaining. But other than that, Johnny, I think it's Bet365, and then it's time to go. We had a little bit of a longer show today, and that's why I said I think Rand would be a great summer guest, because I think we could do an hour and a half with him.
Mm-hmm. And only 2 games tonight. So Bet365, our bet of the night, whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. And remember, you must be 19 or older. We are going to take the Pittsburgh Penguins on the money line tonight. They are, I believe, at home. Let me just double check. Yes, they're home hosting the St. Louis Blues. Penguins are actually home dogs. That game is on at 7. The Boston Bruins take on the Ottawa Senators at 7:30. The only 2 games on tonight. So not the best matchups, I guess you can say. Boston, Ottawa, maybe a little bit better because it's like Allmark versus old team and whatnot. Also, I don't know if you saw it, Colby, but how about Nathan McKinnon and Charlie McAvoy kind of going at it at the end of that game? Was that that was Saturday afternoon between Boston and Colorado. You don't usually see 2 stars, or I mean, I guess, go at it like that at the end of a game. So that was pretty cool to see. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like when the guys are full of piss and vinegar at this point of the season. It's good to see. And I like when 2 star players drop the gloves, like guys who don't generally drop the gloves. I personally love that. And I think teammates absolutely love that. GMs might be cringing in their skin when a guy who makes $12 million or whatever is got his gloves off. But I certainly enjoy seeing it.
That's all I've got for today. And Ariel, as far as your comment goes about getting Barzal and Schaefer on the pod, I mean, we could try. I've talked to Barzal. He doesn't really do a lot of shows, but maybe I can convince him to try to get on here. I've been trying to get him on all summer, but some guys just like to do this stuff. Some guys don't. that's just kind of how it goes. Schaefer, I feel like, is probably getting a lot of media requests.
Yeah,
I don't know if we'll have our luck with him, but we'll certainly
Well,
try to
let us-
have more Islander representatives on here if they're as fun as they've been, because you got to give credit where it's due. The Islanders have been, at least fun to watch this year.
And we'll continue to try to bring a college coach on every week. I see people asking, like you're asking for Mike Cavanaugh from UConn, a guy and his dog won. And then New York Boost says, any chance getting Pando on? Pando's come on.
We had him on last year.
Yeah, we had Pando on. We've had him on a couple of times, but I think I'd rather wait until they get their shit together a little bit to ask Pando. But I would love to have Mike Cavanaugh on. He's a great personality. Guy Godowski's a great personality. Pat Ferschweiler at Western Michigan, I'm going to try to get him. He's got an unreal personality. He's hysterical. So we'll just keep trying to mix it up. We'll try to bounce around. We'll try to get David Carl on at some point.
Players too, Colby?
Yeah, maybe. I kind of like coaches, man. Coaches are so much looser in their interviews.
I was just going to say, I'd love Charlie Serrato. Charlie Serrato is a kid I met at the Frozen Four, like electric personality. He's obviously like leading the country in points right now. If we can go grab him, he's playing for that U.S. Selects college team and in the Spangler Cup. I'd love to get Charlie Serrato on here. Carolina Hurricanes draft pick.
Here's what we should do. We should make a list. We'll put 10, 12 names together, and then we'll just work our way through the list. I mean, we've got a long season. We're going to do this every week for the next lot of months
till April. Yeah,
and so we'll just keep making our way through. But I do love coaches. They're just so much more laid back when they come on, and they just give you so much more. They're so much looser. They're not worried as much about who's going to think and what's going to be on the bulletin board and this and that. So with that, Johnny, let's do 365 and then let's get.
We did it already. I said Penguins money line.
You did. You're right.
You tuned me out.
The fact that there were no games. So that was my Johnny moment. So when I always give you shit about doing that, so I have to give myself a little bit of shit doing that. So hit the like button on the way out. You know the drill with all the comments and the downloads. Don't forget the sheet, 1 p.m. Sheldon Keefe, a guy that I've been pretty hard on, not necessarily as a coach, just for something that I deem to be a little bit of BS. I give the guy a lot of flowers on one side, and I talk about how I think he's a good coach. I defended him in Toronto as well, but you can defend somebody, but also call out their bullshit when you feel like you smell their bullshit. If there's anybody listening right now that has hurt feelings about that, well, too fucking bad. But make sure you catch him on the sheet. He's a well-spoken guy. I'm sure Jeff will get the most out of him in that interview. And then, sorry, was it Bill Armstrong? Not Doug Armstrong, right? It's Bill Armstrong on the sheet as well, right? Bill Armstrong will also be on the sheet as well with Jeff Merrick today. So make sure you're dialed for that. DFO live at noon. We'll see everybody back here as we always do, 9 a.m. tomorrow. Have a good one.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Morning Cuppa Hockey here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And don't forget, we've got more great hockey content every day. You can catch DFO live at noon and stick around for the sheet with Jeff Merrick at 1 p.m. right here on Daily Faceoff. Until then, keep your coffee hot and your takes hotter.